Welcome everyone. Start with our chanting mantra. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Welcome everyone to our Thursday sessions. We're going to take on, this life. What is it? And we've been talking about Advaita Vedanta. We're talking also the mixtures of the four yogas. We're talking about Purnam. The last few weeks we've been talking about Purnamada, Purnamidam. Remember? That is Purnam. This is also Purnam. And that Purnam, Purnat Purnam Udachyate, meaning like as if a seed is giving birth to a tree, that Purnat is giving birth to this Purnam. And what it means that there is no difference between that and this. And this is what is yours and my world. So in this world, if you look at as we are taking up the journey from babyhood to childhood, and as we started thinking and we walking around and started to pick up a little bit of intelligence and going around the schools and then the colleges, and then we read books. I remember my journey and in the childhood, and we used to make bows and arrows and play, Ram, Lakshman and Ravana, and that time we wanted to become warriors. And then from the warriors, I started to read about Jim Corbett and the Tarzans and wanted to be a hunter. And from the hunter, I wanted to become a forest officer. Why forest officer? So that I have lots of animals and I could kill them. I was very fond of shikar, hunting. With my father, we used to go for hunt. And thereafter, just see, from wanting to become a forest officer, I became a fighter pilot. Meaning how the life is transformed, and as a fighter of pilot, excellent life, tremendous learning process, and what fun we had during the Air Force life. Why fun? Because every moment of it we enjoyed. And during the whole Air Force life. And then subtly, because of the providence, and there was the Air Force examination, and through the examination we topped. I topped in the Indian Air Force, and from there I was sent to many countries. I went off to one of the country was America, the last country where I had to appear for FAA certification, Federal Aviation Authority. And there, when I appeared for the test, first subject I didn't do well. And the result came, I had got just 96%. I was very disappointed because before that in India, we were topping and we were scoring almost 100 out of 100 in most of the papers. And I used to be very proud that I know everything now. But America was a different kind. It was not writing down, it was not theoretical, it was true and false. I made some mistakes. Next day's paper, 15 rounds paper, I got 97. And the next 13 paper, I got 100 out of 100 out of 100, all paper. So what happened then? What's the story on this Thursday? I suddenly realized, wow, out of 150 odd fighter pilots appeared, I became a topper. More or less like a world topper. I said, wow. And then I switched over. Why didn't I become so in my 10th standard in college days? You get the point? See how the life is shifting. And then I shifted on to the education. I resigned from the Indian Air Force and took on education as my journey. And today, from the education, along with the education, we're coming to diving within, which is you and I. And in that diving within, now we have gone into, along with the Advaita, in the perspective of the Advaita, understanding, believing, loving all religion, all practices. Sarva dharmanne samarpane. Thapukaya dharmasya. That is establishing, this is Ramakrishna Paramahansa Stotram. Establishing all religion, understand, and in which he gives an example, Paramahansa Ramakrishna. He gives an example that if you take an onion and keep peeling the onion one after another, after another, after another petal, and in the center you don't find anything. There is nothing inside. And I remember I used to ask when I was 7 years of age, 6 7 years of age, I used to ask, Mother, why isn't there anything in the center? I used to think there will be a seed or something. There is nothing. And this is what we are realizing today and studying it more and more and more, is this is what is that we think we are this body, Advaitavad now. We're coming into a topic for the today. It's the emptiness. Emptiness, Shunyavad. And this is Buddha's very famous of the emptiness. Buddha was asked, what happens if you attain nirvana? What do you become? Do you become something enlightened, special? So Buddha answered, did I say so? He didn't answer that question. He just said, did I say so? So the monk who asked, he said, that means you become nothing after you attain nirvana? Buddha answered, did I say that to you? Meaning, I didn't say that so too. So Buddha avoided answering the question. This is emptiness. Now we are coming into that emptiness. This is what Paramahansa Ramakrishna talked about. And you know what? This is a little book. This was written by the first president of Ramakrishna Paramahansa, and he is Swami Brahmananda. This is a very famous book. All monks, they carry it in their pocketbook. From the time I came to know, I always carry it in my pocketbook. And you know what, in this book, the first thing, Brahmananda, as the first president of Ramakrishna Paramahansa, he used to be considered the principal soul of Ramakrishna. He was that kind of a, meaning he was the soul child, spiritual child of Ramakrishna Paramahansa. Like Vivekananda was the right arm, you can call him like a left arm. Brahmananda never wrote any book, he never gave lectures, but he wrote this little book. And this little book contains the most essence of the teachings of Ramakrishna. And you know what is the first thing is say, if you recognize, if a man recognizes who he, she is, a man, woman, then they will recognize God. Manush nijeke jante parle, Bhagavan ke janbe. In Bengali, if you realize who you are, you will know God. And this is where we are coming into the emptiness. You know, apparently, Buddhism and the Hinduism, Advaitavad and the Buddhism, they're totally different. Buddhism says no God, and Advaita says God with form, God without form. Advaita is only one, and that only one is that consciousness is there. It's the spirit, it's the soul. And Buddhism says no soul, no spirit, no self. So apparently there is clash. But as you go around deeper and deeper, you will find even talking about with the same slokas, totras, both Buddhism and Buddha, about 2,500 years. And Shankaracharya brought the essence of Hindu back again about 900 years after, about 15th century or so, 14, 15 years ago from now. And Buddha about 2,500 years. And you know, after Buddha, about 500 years after, about 2,000 years ago, came somebody called Nagarjuna. Nagarjuna brought this essence of Buddhism that shunyavad, that emptiness. Now, how does it interest you and me? Because Buddhism said, if you realize that shunyam you are, that you are nothing really, that means you are not this body and the mind and the soul and the body and the name and the form and the function, then you realize that self. And notice, Advaita Vedanta is talking about it. Mano buddhi chitta ahankar na aham. Shankaracharya is saying, I am not mind, body, that intellect and memory and the ego. Na aham. I am not that. So I'm trying to bring about this comparison. But this emptiness and shunyavad, it was very difficult to understand because it became very technical, and Buddha didn't answer. So Buddha didn't answer, possibly because he said, first you get enlightened, you automatically know what is emptiness. So he did not answer it. Second, possibly, they say, maybe he did not know. Now that is not possible because Buddha knew everything. He is the one, Buddha means the one who knows. He is the greatest man, as Vivekananda explains, ever born on this earth. Now, the third could be that when Buddha was asked, he didn't answer. He was asked 14 questions, which all related to what happens when you become enlightened. And he stayed silent. Possibly that he was saying silence is the answer. Now, we are going to take it on, and you know what? There is somebody approximately about 100 years ago. His name, little before 100, about 60, 70 years ago. His name is Khenpo Sultim Gyamso Rinpoche. He's a Tibetan. You know how this Buddhism progressed? It was researched intensely in Nalanda University. Then, as you know, the Muslims came and the Nalanda was destroyed, and the Tibetans took the entire Buddhism, the literature, to Tibet. And there, this Sanskrit literature and Buddhism and developed into Pali to Sanskrit to Pali, Pali to Sanskrit, Sanskrit to Tibetan. Pali was by Buddha to Sanskrit, Sanskrit to Tibetan, and Tibetan to, now it is in Harvard, and Harvard is studying in so-called Tibetan English, translated that same Tibetan, very difficult English. But what Khenpo Sultim Gyamso Rinpoche did, he made it very simple in a book, and that is called Progressive Stages for Meditation on Emptiness. That brings this emptiness in a beautiful story format in 5 stages. And you and I, we are going to do that meditation on 2 Sundays because it's a huge 2,000 years of research work on that emptiness. So we are going to take it on 2 Sundays and take it on. Welcome to this journey. And I would like to tell you a little bit about a little story. And we'll take about the Shunyavad, Shunyata next. And this story is related to not Shunyavad, but it is a very nice, beautiful story. I thought we will cover it today. You know, this, you've heard about Jarasandha, who became an arch enemy of Krishna. Yeah? And where did Jarasandha come from? There's a very nice story. I will just cover a little bit of it. You know, in Magadha kingdom was being the king, emperor of that was Brihadatta. The king Brihadatta, he married a twin princess. But years went back, 5-6 years, and he did not have any heir for his kingdom, and he was very sad. I don't have somebody to take over my kingdom, Magadha. And then a monk came. A monk. His name was Chandrakantasu. And Chandrakanta gave him a fruit. Now Chandrakanta didn't know that Jagadatta has two queens, two wives. He gave him one fruit. And he said, please tell your wife to eat it. Tell your wife to eat it, not wives. He didn't know that he has two wives. Now, Jagadatta didn't want to be partial to one wife. So what he did, he cut it into half and gave it to both the wives to eat it. And soon enough, they became pregnant, and as they grew, and they gave birth. And after the right time when they gave birth, it was shocking. Both the wives gave birth to two dead babies, exactly half. Half this side, half that side. Half right side, half left side. And the king was in utter grief, and all he did, he told the soldiers not to burn the body, kill the baby is already dead. He said, go and leave it in the jungle, let the animals eat it up. So the soldiers did that. They went to the jungle and they left it there. And as they left it, those days, they were the Rakshasas and Rakshasi, demons. They used to roam around the jungle like Ravana. And there is this lady. Her name was Jara. So, Jara Rakshasi, she smelled the human flesh, the baby's lying. She wanted to eat it up. So as she came, she found two. So she picked it up in her hand, and as she picked it up in her hand, strangely, both the babies joined and fixed like a clap and became a full-fledged baby and started crying. Something happened to Rakshasi Jara. She didn't feel like eating up a newborn baby. She took the baby, and being a Rakshasi had a lot of talent and she had the power. She realized by holding the baby that this is Jagadatta's son. So she went back to the kingdom. She had heard about it, that this is what had happened. Two babies were born. She realized they must have left it in the jungle, and now both of them are alive in her hand. The now king was rejoiced, and king said, okay, because of you, Jara, I have got my son back. I will name him Jara Sanda, meaning you're the one who is giving rebirth as the Rakshasi Jara, and he will be Amar. And now from here, I will take you on to the story. Jarasandha went on to become Krishna's arch enemy. And you know what he did? He came to know that if he can kill 1,000 kings and 16,000 unmarried girls, then nobody can defeat him, and he will be the biggest emperor in the world. And he was what? Half left, half right, joined up into one and became one. He got 60,000 maidens. He captured them. He wanted to kill them. And he was killing in the process the other. He had to kill those 1,600 also. And during this time, we will building up the story, and we will take you across on the Sunday. You also do a little discovery. Go ahead and ask questions, and welcome. So we are going to get on to emptiness, and this is a little story which we are, you notice, we are trying to bring you back to our ancient, lots of Upanishadic, Vedantic tales, Puranic tales, Mahabharata, Ramayana, which most of us have forgotten, but they got great essence to learn from. That's what is our intention. Learn everything, practice all the 4 yogas, and become aware. Emptiness, fullness. Fullness, emptiness. Jai Guru.